bunch of other news organizations put these types of headlines out last week around June 11th or 12th when it happened. U.S. strike kills 8 terrorists tied to al-Shabaab in Somalia. Somalia is strategically important, and it also, there's oil off the coast of it. Weird, all of a sudden there's terrorists there. That's weird. Whenever there's oil around, all of a sudden there's terrorists that we need to take care of. How did that? Weird. The U.S. Africa Command said current assessments indicated 8 militants died in the airstrikes, which appeared to be the first since President Trump gave the Pentagon the go-ahead in March to conduct actions against the ruthless group in support of the partner forces in Somalia. So, the Somalia president said that this was a successful strike which destroyed a key al-Shabaab command and supply hub. This has ultimately stripped the enemy's ability to conduct new attacks within Somalia. Right? And he says, all of us know someone from our village and our youth that has been affected or killed by the senseless violence under the feared al-Shabaab. So on the surface, that sounds like, wow, they're probably they're awful and, you know. But how did this happen? So, let me tell you this. First of all, Somalia was doing business with the Soviet Union, was a client actually of the Soviet Union, and even allowing the Soviets to establish a naval base at Berbera on a strategic north coast near the entrance of the Red Sea. Somalia dictator Siad Barre established this relationship in response to the large-scale American military support of Somalia's historic rival Ethiopia. Hey, a proxy war in Africa that we never have talked about. Then under the rule of the feudal emperor Haile Selassie, when a military coup by leftist Ethiopian officers toppled the monarchy in 1974 and declared the country a Marxist-Leninist state the following year, the superpowers switched their allegiances. The Soviet Union then was backing Somalia and we were backing Ethiopia, and then there was a coup, so then whoop, we just did that. Soviet Union backed Ethiopia and we backed Somalia. From the late 1970s until just before Siad Barre's overthrow in early 1991, the U.S. sent hundreds of millions of dollars of arms to Somalia in return for the use of military facilities which had been originally constructed for the Soviets. I'm sure these terrorists that are, hurting people in Somalia today, I'm sure none of them are using American-made weapons. No. No, that's never happened. We've never given weapons to some crazy dictator and then he gets thrown out of power and then those weapons are... No. We've never done that. There's name one. Okay, Iran. Okay, just one. Okay, Afghanistan. Okay, name 3. Okay, Iraq. We backed Saddam in the war against Iran and Iraq. And okay, but I'm but name less than 10. The consequences of the U.S. military support for Barre regime on the Somali people. This is a separate article. So I read the USA Today article to show how the corporate media is like, anytime there's an airstrike in the Middle East, the corporate media shows we killed terrorists. See, it worked. The airstrikes are good. Rather than sending American men and women over there, we're just going to airstrikes. It's strategic. It's robot. It's laser guided. It's just like a surgery, taking out a tumor, right? That's how they always use it. No talking about no collateral damage. We don't hear anything. I don't know. Was there? Don't know. So then I just Googled the history of United States and Somalia, and then this article came up from theworldtraveler.com, which shows all this stuff. And what happened, here, I'll read this. The consequence, this was written in 2002. The consequences of U.S. military support for the Barre regime on the Somali people was deemed of little importance by American policymakers. The U.S. government ignored warnings throughout the 80s by African specialists, human rights groups, and humanitarian organizations that continued American aid to the dictatorial government of Siad Barre would eventually plunge Somalia into chaos. These predictions proved tragically accurate. During the nearly 15 years of support by the United States and Italy, thousands of civilians were massacred at the hands of Barre's increasingly authoritarian regime. So our weapons that our military, the weapons manufacturers that control everything, sold them to a dictator who used them against his own people. It's like... Isn't it getting embarrassing? Like, aren't we done with this? And this is the thing, when like friends of mine that are like neoliberals or whatever, and that Hillary was, she was the most qualified person ever. Yeah, in terms of qualified to run this pro-war, pro-oil, pro-banking government, yeah, she was more qualified than Trump. And if she was in power right now, there would be no resistance. Everyone would be going along. Everyone would be going, yay, first female. Look at the Democratic Party. First black president, first female president. That's the party of progressives. That's the party of real change. She'd have Goldman Sachs in her White House. She would be doing shit like this. She helped overthrow Libya that killed 40,000 people and opened up a floodgates of jihadists and refugees into Western Europe. And here it is, another example. And what is the mainstream media? Is USA Today talking about why are we in Somalia, and the reason there's terrorist organizations is because we destabilized their government, we backed the dictator, we gave them arms that eventually fell. That's all we do. We backed the Mujahideen against the Soviet Union in the 80s. They became the Taliban after we left. In a country that in Afghanistan had a high rate of illiteracy. I keep looking for the story where America just came in and built schools and helped the infrastructure and hospitals, and now here we are 20, 30 later, and Somalia is this amazing country that has this thriving economy, and oh my God, it's a tourist spot, and it's so amazing, it's so great. I can't find that story anywhere on the internet. That's weird. I just find that we gave them hundreds of millions of dollars to kill each other, and now it's made it worse, and we got to go and keep bombing them. And oh, by the way, there's oil, so we're going to bomb them and get more bases there. It's every goddamn story. Like, I could read all this shit to you, but you know what it is. You know what it says. Because if you haven't read the story of Somalia, you've read this playbook before. Oh boy. That's why you guys got to come to YouTube for your news. Because USA Today or CNN or MSNBC are not sitting here going, what are we doing? What are we doing? And then we have to go in there. When we do send military, then it's what happens, the movie Black Hawk Down, which is just America's misguided everything. We create this impoverished nation where dictators and fanatics can get a foothold. And then we just do these crazy military, and then American men and women who most of them are pretty noble. They're joining the military for probably fairly noble reasons. I want to serve my country. I want to, help protect liberty and democracy. And they're fighting another bullshit proxy war or an oil war or a proxy war for oil. It's ridiculous. It's preposterous. We do the same thing here in America. The inner cities that have all this crime, like Chicago, where I'm from, the west and south sides, there's not all these amazing schools. We're not rebuilding everything. No. We plunder it. We give people no hope, no opportunity. We let guns and drugs get funneled in there because someone's making a profit from that. Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the country. It doesn't matter. You can just go across the border to Missouri or Indiana and buy a gun and come and sell a bunch of them. And then there's people, and then there's rampant violence. And what do? We just send in a militarized police force to go in there. It's the same model. It's the same fucking model. We're doing it here in our own goddamn country, to our own citizens. Killing poor people. We destabilize, we give you no hope, no opportunity, we back fucking criminals, and then when fanatics and demagogues rise to power, then we come in and blow everything up again. You will not hear this shit You will not hear this shit in traditional media. That's why you're smart enough to come to YouTube. Patreon links below. Support the show, because imagine what I could do if I had like a research team and I could send out reporters. That's what I want to do. I want to grow this thing. I want it to be like TYT or bigger. Right? That's what I need. Right now it's just me and a laptop and an iPhone and a microphone that I paid maybe $20 for this. Plugs into my phone. There's my phone right there. Boom, boom. Let's keep fighting.